I know there's how many, I know some young people in here that probably know me for just playing Lil Wayne records. But prior to that, you know, you know, that was what I was about, what it was about, and what it went to. And so if there's anything I want people to remember about the Bronx is that, you know, Kool Herc liked something, and it's where it is today, you know?
It's you know, if anybody was here earlier, it's still what you're about. You would rocket breakbeats, double copies back and forth here, you know, for everybody, so.
I know you, look, once again, I know sometimes you hear me on that box, and I'm like maybe playing records back and forth, but I'm nice on that set. So when it comes to rubbing and getting it in, you know, that's something. I was gonna say, you know, I listened to the Slick Rick album, like, Lick the Balls. I know that sounds just crazy, pause. But the record he's scratching in the hook, Kool is Back. And what's the ooh so fine? Who made that? First stage, that's maybe it was. Oh. Howard Jones is so fine. But the fact that he's scratching that in the hook back then, when that record dropped, was setting the place, that Kool is Back, that was hip-hop at its finest. So when I listen to even what's the one that some of the records that Slick Rick was saying was album fella man, you know, those are some a teacher, that loop was what it was in the club. And if you was a DJ and you couldn't catch that, you was getting booed out the club. And he had another record that he said there was an album filler for him, which he had sampled scratching.
Let's Get Crazy.
Right, the scratching. And that was, you know, Jazzy J made that record legendary. So for Slick Rick, you know, all the things that Slick Rick is just natural to him was him. It's not just his lyrics that makes that record so crazy. It's the fact that he was injecting every piece of the moment, from talking about clothing, the samples he was using, and the storytelling, and even the robberies, because in Latin Quarter, that was what you was afraid of, man. You did not want to get robbed if no one you knew. And Brooklyn, anybody here from Brooklyn? Brooklyn was so legendary and ornery. When they came in the club, making it be known. So he just didn't want a problem. So that, and look, Slick Rick's a cool cat. He's talking about he didn't want to get robbed. So that was what you went to Manhattan. That's what you thought about. But if people can remember Kool Herc, would be a great thing.
Yeah, I hope so. Do you want to take a question or two? Is that cool, or are you?
Oh, I'd love to.
All right.
Any questions?
Get one or two questions before we wrap up with Flex, because got to get it.
Is that David Letterman? Okay. Oh, well, I can
the radio program.
Oh, I have to get into who's the young lady that used to dance on Spanish girl she used to dance? Who was before Jennifer Lopez that everyone? Rosie Perez. So Rosie Perez had came to the Palladium the night before. She went to David Letterman. And she was on the show, and she had said, yeah, I went to the Palladium. It was on Funkmaster Flex's night, and he was like, oh, sure, but it's so hard to get a ticket to that one. But he was really clowning me. So someone had sent it to me, and then I edited it. This is had to be when I first got on the radio, and then that lives today. That's 20 years ago. 20 years ago. I'm holding tight in this town, yes.
Anybody else? One more?
Sorry? If I could dance? Anyone who becomes a DJ is because you can't dance. I'm dead serious. DJ is always like your fifth choice. Like you try the microphone, like in the mirror, and you're like, damn, this ain't working. Then you try to break dance in the spin, damn, this ain't working either. And you work down the line, and then you go, and this record thing right here with spinning, I can't do that. That I can do. And you gotta learn to go on the right records. But I never could dance, but I was big on rock steady. I caught breakdancing in, it's not working on my age, but the second time around, which was 83, 84, because it was early 80s, and then it was like, again, when it became big in every video, like when you watch the Herbie Hancock video, I believe it's in it. So, dancing, to be honest, was the emceeing and the dancing, I hope I'm saying this right, Chris, held the same weight back in the days. It's only now it's not at the forefront anymore, but that was equal weight. Like the person, usually if someone was rocking the mic, am I saying this right? Usually when someone was rocking the mic, there was someone dancing or a crew battling. Anyone else?
One more, last one. Last call. You got it.
Are we ever going to get another 60 minutes of funk?
Yeah, Chris, help me with that. Chris got me a couple of those checks. I'm going to be honest about those albums. You want me to be honest? You want me to be honest today, Chris? You want to say, if there's one day this nigga's going to be honest today, right? I never really enjoyed making the albums. I was always about marketing and promotion. And I always wanted to be known out of state and not just local. And at the time, that was the best way to do it, which was albums, because the label would then market you out of state, other countries, you do videos, you go do publicity. I hated being in the studio. I hated the room, I hated being in there it drove me nuts to be in there 20 hours, and it was not, it didn't really reflect me, right, Chris? It was alright. I sold a lot of albums like that, a couple platinum, a couple gold, so a lot of people ask me how come I don't do it anymore. You know, the radio was always my love. That was always the thing that I loved the most. And to put those albums out were always in holiday time, so I didn't have to leave my family and then kind of travel to go promote it. So I'm done with those forever. But I like making mixtapes and sometimes and kind of toss them out there and let people have them. And the game's changed. I don't think Slick Rick talked about a lot of things today, and it's hard to always keep doing the same thing you're doing. It's hard. So you have to do things and reinvent, try to make moves and try to do different things. So I didn't want to stay there too long. I had about 6 albums. I didn't want to stay there too long. I kind of wanted to try to, you know, I'm into the cars. You know, I'm into, if anybody is here and you're thinking about the music business, it's a great business. But, you know, I keep referring to Chris Lighty because Chris Lighty has had 10 different careers, and I'm sorry, 15. I don't want to shortchange you today. You know, I don't want to shortchange you, Chris. But, you know, I'm not here 20 years later because I've been doing the same thing. You know, you have to reinvent yourself, and you have to kind of, you don't necessarily have to go with the times, but you have to figure out how you get your niche. You know, I'm sure there's people who have never heard me on the radio, but you might follow me on Twitter, or you might go to my website, or you might, you know, you might have come to a car show tour I've done, or a party. You know, it's, you know, 20 years ago, I could say something on the radio, and you hear it in LA, and you hear it every place, and I'm not afraid to say in this room, the radio is not really considered the coolest thing anymore. It's an avenue to hear music, but it has its place. And you know, I've created a website where I get 1 million visitors a month and 8 million page views, and for you digital guys, you know what I'm talking about. And a Twitter page where I can speak to 300,000 people with the radio. So it's the game has changed a lot. So for those of you who are thinking about getting into the business, you have to think of it from all angles, from digital to being creative to being talented, doing what you're doing. Even if you make music, you know, the days of rhyming and giving out a tape and hopefully getting signed are gone. It's bringing attention to yourself and making it happen. So I just thought that I would share that because you triggered me when you said, how come I don't make the albums anymore? So